Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Strategic Command World War I, a new grand strategy and war game out by Fury Software and published by Matrix and Slytherin Games. In today's episode, we're picking up our series in episode number 13. We have had some success in the Black Sea against the Russian fleet. We are driving east, causing chaos on the Russian heartland. Meanwhile, on the Western Front, we're continuing to hold our line. The Sinai is a little bit dicey. We've reinforced it to some extent, but that's the situation right now in the war. Overall, I'm pretty satisfied with the way that things are going as the Central Powers, and we'll see if we can continue to capitalize on that success. Our real focus is crushing the Russians as quickly as we can so that we can divert the rest of those forces to the west and deal with the Western Entente and crush them. That's the situation right now in July of 1915, and this was taken from a live stream from a couple of days ago, so let's go ahead and jump back into the live stream. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Let me know your thoughts below, and without further ado, let's get underway. Meanwhile, Russian morale has fallen below 40%. Ottoman morale has gone up. These troops' morale has increased from 30% to 40%. Readiness is still at 60. What's the supply look like down there? 4. Alright. So we've got a reserve now in the Sinai, which is good. The Sultan Selim battlecruiser is going to fall back to Constantinople. I don't think it can actually mine as a battlecruiser. Curious where the Russian battlecruiser went. Probably back to port, right? Alright, these guys are going to fall back to whatever this port name is. Alright, so our naval assets are falling back to Constantinople. Hopefully they can't be attacked in port there. The Italians' fleet is off Modoros. I think. I mean, like, cruiser here. Just trying to see what they have over here in the Aegean. Like, I don't think they have anything on the Italian theater. I don't think the Italian Navy is strong enough to deal them a blow. On the Western Front, let's... Oh, nice. That British corps that just moved in is going to get slaughtered. Woo! So we just destroyed another enemy corps, basically for free. This British corps here to the south of Toul, also in a rough spot. And there it goes. It's destroyed. So we just destroyed 2 British infantry corps. Remember the Somme. Remember the what? This French corps here looks vulnerable. Ah, we didn't quite get it. Okay. So I think we'll leave the front line in the west roughly unchanged. We destroyed 2 enemy units, badly damaged another. We'll go ahead and reinforce our fighters there. Our blimps. Can we upgrade these troops? I don't know what you can upgrade. Like, we can give some of them elite reinforcements, which would cost 22 MPPs. I don't know if that's worth it or not. Okay, so that's the Western Front. I'm probably going to spend the bulk of my money reinforcing my fleet this turn as Germany because I need to repair it from those casualties it took in the North Atlantic. Won't even be able to fully repair it because you can only do 5 points in a month. Some of the units can repair. The units at Stettin or... So that was a lot of money that we just spent. I'd be really tempted to have my battleships chase those enemy destroyers into the strait, but it seems like asking for trouble. The Ottomans really need a destroyer. I wonder if I can afford a destroyer for them. Destroyers are kind of cheap, I think. Alright, the subs also need to be reinforced. Can't set the subs to lay mines either. Mines! We're going to drop mines, hopefully in front of these British... Oh, God, I didn't realize I was going to be able to get my destroyer out. Well, this guy's probably dead, but maybe he'll take someone down with him. I guess destroyers avoid mines, don't they? That was kind of foolish. I'll pull these guys back. Okay. The one thing I'm not super clear on is when you develop new infantry weapons, do you just automatically get them? Kind of seems like you do. Alright, Kovno is surrounded, so we should be able to finish it off this turn. Was surrounded last turn as well, for what it's worth, but... There we go. We finally surrounded, or destroyed that Russian unit. Meanwhile, we're gonna pull... These guys will reinforce. This should allow us to get our troops out. Finally, they should have some supply, I think. They don't have any right now. Okay, so Brest-Litovsk. Hoping we're ready to close in on that. Let's go ahead and attack this guy 1 to 3. Okay, so we can now surround... Maybe not. We can almost surround Brest-Litovsk. Okay, so we destroyed that remaining Russian unit there. These guys can reinforce. These other troops reinforced last turn, so we're going to start filtering them in to the front line, getting them in a position where they can strike next turn. These guys will reinforce. So it's a little bit of another, you know, stop and catch your breath type of a turns, I think, for us. But if I can destroy some fresh Russian reinforcements or whatever that these guys are. So we broke one more Russian unit over this way. I don't really care about these. They're just a small garrison. They're just in an obnoxious place where they could really do some damage. I don't really want to attack them, though. Let's reinforce this artillery to full strength. All right, so we're going to continue moving our headquarters forward toward the front lines. German ships in the Baltic are taking a little bit of punishment. There's almost all of our troops, at least in the southern part, central and southern part of the French line or of the Russian lines, are all at max strength. So that should prompt us for a successful late summer offensive against the Russians here in 1915. Now that we've got our house in order there. Meanwhile, hopefully the destruction of 2 enemy corps and crippling of a third will delay or hinder any Allied action against us on the Western Front. So I think that's it for the Western Front. I'm just going to stay on the defensive on the Italian front. I see no reason to change the status there. Although, now I say that, I've got a 1-3, so I am going to do that. Well, that was a little bit more aggressive than I probably should have been on the Italian front. I really want to take Undyne. That's a good spot to take, and if I can destroy this core and advance south into Italy there, that'll, I think, go a long way in making that a reality. Not sure what to expect on near the Dardanelles. All right, so we've got our headquarters unit into a city along the front line. That should help supply there. Okay. The British front's already been looked at. We've already looked at the Navy. I think we've done everything this turn that I can think of. We've also pretty much spent all our money. Although the Ottomans do have 180 points. Can I do anything with that? Can I buy a destroyer? Yes, I can. That might seem silly, but I do think being able to lay mines in the channel or in the Dardanelles is going to be important. So I am going to spend a big chunk of the Ottoman income on a destroyer. And then from a research perspective, the Ottomans have research infantry, or almost are working on infantry weapons level 1. I guess they're not there yet. The Austrians also are working on it. I think they learned infantry warfare. Okay, so that's it. The doctrine infantry warfare has been researched. No one has actually researched infantry weapons level 1 yet. Okay. Research and development seems so unimportant at this stage in the war, but I'm going to guess it's going to get real important. That just increases ammo supply. It doesn't actually... Gas and shell production doesn't actually... So there's no gas feature. It's just... It just influences your production. Okay. That seems a little bit silly. I would much rather increase other things. Spying and intelligence, industrial technology we're working on. Maybe tank development? Austro-Hungarian tanks rumble across the battlefield. Austria's actually spending more money on R&D than anybody else. Admiral, I don't think there's a proliferation effect. I don't, my next plan for the Russian campaign, to be honest, is to use these fully reinforced troops to take Grodno, which is a supply center, take Vilna, which is a national morale objective, and to take Brest-Litovsk, which is also a national morale objective. The loss of those two national morale objectives, I'm hoping, will drop Russian morale to a point where we might be on the verge of the Russian Revolution. I'm not quite sure if that'll happen. If it doesn't happen, then once we take Grodno, Vilna, and Brest-Litovsk, we'll have this massive group of troops that'll be ready to advance on Minsk, which is a third national morale objective. I'd also like to reduce this pocket over here in the east, just for the sake of reducing the strength of the Russian troops in the region, and then we can try and advance on Kiev as well. If we look at the reports, the Russians have 44 infantry units, which is down considerably from where they were at before. So that's a positive. But yeah, and then obviously we'll have to figure out what's going to happen in the Ottoman Empire, because I'm a little bit uneasy with this massive Italian fleet sitting off the coast of Lemnos. Not that I can do a whole bunch about it, but it's something to be a little bit nervous about. So let's go ahead and end the turn and see what comes next as we move into August, I presume, of 1915. Entente continues to blockade supplies. Germany's developing artillery, trench warfare. We're continuing to get food through the Netherlands, though. Calmer of Storms, thank you very much for the follow. Greatly appreciated. Man, the Ottoman Empire's income sucks. I probably should give the Ottomans some money from the Germans, too. The Germans' economy is like the size of the Ottomans and the Austrians put together, and then some. Okay, so there's a destroyer sailing away, and a cruiser sailing away. Sail away with me into the night. Now we've got some French troops in the Aegean Sea, or French cruisers or destroyers or whatever. Yeah, you send more troops into the death salient there between Epnal and Belfort. Keep doing it, frogs. Keep doing it. Yeah, Dan Carlin has some pretty evocative descriptions of the German military in 1914 during the initial campaigns. I think people forget how absolutely awe-inspiring to a lot of degrees they were to a lot of the other countries in the world, and their ability to basically steamroll over the French and the British combined for quite a while. Now, it helped that the bulk of the French forces were pointed basically in the wrong direction. But just the sheer power of militaries in this age is pretty tremendous. I mean, obviously, modern militaries are more powerful today. I think what I mean is just more regarding like the sheer manpower effect of it. I think World War I probably more than was the final conflict where it was just about, where army design was really around masses of huge formations. Even in World War II, that kind of started to change to a little bit more specialization. Meanwhile, the French are bombarding the hell out of the Liege fortifications with their artillery. That was a lot of artillery ammo expended on Liege. We'll see if they launch an attack there. They actually did quite a bit of damage against that unit. The Russians in Vilna attack there. Yep, they are going to attack at Liege. They might actually take Liege. Italian troops on the Western Front? Get out of here. Ottoman garrison unit there destroyed in the southeast corner of the Ottoman front. British mainland's economy wasn't as big as Germany's. Britain with India might have been. But at least heavy industry in Germany vastly outstripped the British by the time of World War II, or World War I. But of course, that's the thing. The British had a global empire which included India, which they could draw resources upon. It's easy to say that Germany's economy was smaller or was larger than the British Isles, but that doesn't really matter because the British Isles weren't the only thing the British had. The loss of grain from Galicia leads to hunger in Austria-Hungary. What? Just because they advanced south of the oil fields there and they barely, like, they're in 1 hex. Russian morale is boosted by the capture of Galician oil fields. America. Van Field Detachment destroyed. Hey, we got a new airship for the Germans. That's really annoying. It's like, oh yeah, you took your oil fields. Okay. Good for you, you jerks. All you did was get your core destroyed. Oil field recaptured. Of course, now it's destroyed, so it's going to take for frickin' ever to get back up its supply. But hey, at least you let me destroy an infantry unit of yours, basically for free. Now I can get another one here on the corner of the Pripyat marshes. And now you're dead. So 2 of the Russian corps here near Rovno, both destroyed in this turn, despite the morale impact of taking the oil fields. Ironically, Austria-Hungary is having so much success, and people are so happy that our national morale is above 100%. Same for the Germans, too. The Russian morale did jump a bit. It's at 38%, though, still below 40. Okay. No more sneaking in and taking oil fields on my watch. All right, so let's... I guess we're going to go for Brest-Litovsk first. 2-1 is the best I can get. They're dug in at level 5, so this is going to take a while probably. But we're going to have to eat the casualties here, willingly take the casualties. The good news for us is actually that the Russian morale is below 50% on these soldiers that we're attacking right now. And so even though they're in good defenses, they can't withstand the same amount of punishment because basically they've already convinced themselves they've lost. And there we go. We took Brest-Litovsk. We advanced along the railway to the east. A major Russian morale center has fallen. Good result for us. Meanwhile, the enemy troops here are dug in at level 5. We've got 3 artillery shells we can pound them with. Does that hurt their entrenchment? It doesn't. It just hurts their morale and readiness. So their morale's at 31 and readiness at 49. Now it's at 48 and 29. I don't really get the sense that the morale impact of artillery is all that effective. Artillery just seems super ineffective in this game, although the French artillery against us back there at Liege was pretty effective, so I don't know. Going up against another enemy fort. Couldn't quite take it there. Alright, so we destroyed another Russian unit. I can't actually take the fort, though. Seriously? Well, we destroyed a Russian unit in the fort. We can't take the fort, I guess, because of some reason. Alright, these troops are still trying to get back into supply. Alright, so let's attack Vilnia here. Vilnia is now surrounded. We weren't actually able to take the city yet, but we have surrounded Vilnia, another national morale objective. And we can now advance on Minsk. Okay. We're gonna advance through the marshes, because that's a sound strategy. All right. Okay. All right, so some good results here on the Russian front. One morale center down, a secondary supply core destroyed, enemy troops surrounded. We've also surrounded Vilnia, so there's 3 more Russian cores that are surrounded. We're advancing on Minsk. It's not unreasonable to say that we could be attacking Minsk next turn. We also destroyed 2 enemy cores here in the south and badly damaged an enemy detachment to the east of Tarnopol. So the Russian front, this is a very good result. Do I think the Austrian navy is definitely not strong enough to fend off the Italians. Not even a question. Okay. Okay, so the front line in Anatolia is holding. Barely. But it's holding for the moment. The front against the British. I guess we're actually going to pull these guys back to this city here. But it could attack against some of these British units, but I don't think it's worth the casualties. So we're going to fall back here to Beersheba. Hope the enemy doesn't try and go around our flank. We'll rotate your entrenchments. There's no way they'd have supply if they go in this way. Move the Austrians down to Abia. So there's no way, I don't think zones of control will let them in there. Alright, so there's the Italian fleet. I mean, there's 2 battleships here. We have 2 pre-dreadnoughts. There's a light cruiser. We have a light cruiser. There's a sub. We have a sub, sort of, in that area. The Austro-Hungarian fleet is going to put to sea. All right, we'll see what happens here. Meanwhile, the Italian front, we've still got this exposed Italian corps over here, which we destroyed. Huzzah! French Marines? French Marines on the southern portion of the Italian front? That seems like a bad strategy, AI. Questionable, at least. All right, so that's that for there. 1 to 3. We'll see if we can get another allied corps here. Another French corps destroyed in isolated counterattacks. Meanwhile, Liege is not dug in at all. The enemy artillery pounded it out of its shell holes. But we just destroyed another Italian corps here to the west of Liege. You know, we actually could have if I had manpower to exploit it, we actually could have a breakthrough here. Because I can just swap these guys out, and there's a British corps destroyed as well. So, I mean, we've got a two-unit hole along the French front that the enemy has to fill. I'm going to shift troops north just to see if we can't do something with that. Next turn. Meanwhile, in the south, we'll reinforce these units. So we destroyed another French corps here. We destroyed an Italian corps and a British corps. We'll put new blimps. I think we're going to put the blimps in the eastern front because I want to get an eye on where the enemy troops are. Move the headquarters from Tilsit forward. Probably base it out of Kovno or Vilna once we get the Vilnia once we get the offensive rolling. Planes work fine. I mean, it's not obviously World War II. So like I've got a blimp here. I can order them to bomb these guys, but they could get intercepted by enemy fighters over here. I can order them to do recon over here. They can still get intercepted here and shot up a bit. But, you know, they bomb these troops, but then they also reveal what's all behind the enemy line. And I think recon is the most valuable use of your air power. So yes, we created a two-unit hole in the front. They obviously have reserves behind that. So they've got more French corps and British corps and a French headquarter back this way. But that's kind of how the fronts work, or how the air units work. This German destroyer somehow survived all the way out there. Oh, but not for long. Yeah, he's a gunner. I wish I had, like, if I had taken Antwerp, that would be so clutch, because then I can just pull the Navy back into Antwerp. Alright, so I'm reforming the fleet. Units that are at full strength out here near Heligoland Bight. Or Heligoland. Reinforce that cruiser. No, actually, these cruisers are already reformed. So we're going to go ahead and reinforce the Moltke. I guess I need my German economy to repair my German fleet. Okay. I have not used my submarines very effectively. That is definitely true. Okay. Alright, so that's the Navy for this turn. We're going to lose a destroyer out there, but I'll just have to be okay with it. Italian front holding strong. Austro-Hungarian Navy moving out. The Ottomans, meanwhile, have spent their reinforcement money, which wasn't much. We've got 129 points left. I'm going to go ahead and try and reinforce our heavy warships here. Get them back to full strength as we're continuing to work on some light warships. We'll see if a Gallipoli happens or not. I keep waiting for one to happen. I'm not sure why this large allied fleet would be out this way. If we look at diplomacy, we can see that Greece is 15% in favor of the Entente. Norway keeps trickling toward the Central Powers. Portugal's been at 60% the whole time. Romania remains at 24%, despite my massive spending to make that not be the case. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really feel like it's really 45%. So I'm going to spend another 150 points. We have a 60% chance of success of swinging Romania at this point. Spain would be really interesting to bring into the war. Just because they, if we brought Spain into the war, that I have to imagine that would be huge. It would completely outflank the defensive line. Anyway, so we have 400 points left. Whoops. I think I really love the idea of buying another battleship. Or whatever. But why would anyone buy a pre-dreadnought? But it's so expensive and it takes so long. We've got enough for a couple of German corps. Cavalry is actually really useful on the Eastern Front, by the way. It's not the kind of worthless weapon that you would expect it to be. I'll buy another artillery unit. Ooh, we've got artillery units with weapon level 1. So that's going to max out our artillery. The Austro-Hungarians. I'm going to save their money for now, I think. I don't know. I keep pouring research money in for the Austro-Hungarians. They're working on tanks. They're working on infantry. Probably should work on fighters, too. Or maybe naval weaponry. Might help even the balance a bit. Fighter development, too. Research is relatively inexpensive in this game. So Austria-Hungary's near the max research while Germany's like, technology? Who needs it? Actually, we've got 84 left for Germany, so we probably should work on either advanced subs or tank development, probably. Germany should be spending some money on that. All right. So I think that's going to do it for this turn. So I think we're ready to move forward to the next one. I think I've done everything I can do at this time. I need to stop advancing into the marshes. That's a bad idea. I didn't even look at the supply situation, but that's going to be rough, I think. We'll see. I should be following the rail lines toward Kiev and toward Minsk. Not just a straight front. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but we'll see what happens in the next turn. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and wrap this one up. We've just hit the end turn button, but we're at about the 40-minute mark, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Hope you guys have enjoyed the series. Let me know your thoughts below, as always. The war is getting pretty interesting. The success on the Eastern Front seems to be slowing just a little bit. I'm not driving as quickly to the east as I would like. I'm still taking key cities and whatnot, but it seems like casualties continue to mount, and we keep having to pause to reinforce, so we'll see how things go there. Pretty stagnant along the rest of the front. We're holding them in Italy. We're holding them in the Sinai. So we'll see how things continue moving into the future. But until the future, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching as always, and until next time, I'm out.